Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm going to run for mayor of Abbotsford on what took place in my great city, Abbotsford, BC. I'm here today to talk to you what went wrong in the election or what happened. A lot of people don't like the results. We got to live with those results. We got to move forward. But what took place in Abbotsford, everybody's really happy. The establishment got wiped out that had a strong hold. And we saw that. We saw what Ed Fast did for many years. His office was no longer a voice. It was about building an empire with Henry Braun and Rob Funkaddiverse. What Mike de Jong did, I believe, Mike de Jong's whole career was destroyed because he was under Henry Brown's thumb. Mike de Jong's got to blame Henry Brown of why this happened was because Henry was using him. Abbotsford residents, for many, many years, this has been your city. It's been open for you to speak freely and ask for help. That wasn't happening when Henry Brown came on. Henry Brown saw a vision, putting his family and his friends in and lobbying jobs and enriching himself to build an empire with Ron Funkaddiverse. But MP Ed Fast and MLA Mike de Jong were a part of that vision. How Henry owned them, that was pretty clear as I went along the way with Darren Braun. I want to tell you what took place in this election. I saw the BC Conservatives know what Henry did to me to block me to own the city with the Chamber of Commerce. I saw the BC Conservatives who sent this spark through Abbotsford and said a cleanup. I want to mention his name was Bruce Bamman. Bruce Bamman never backed down when he got scandaled for the manure and everything. He rose back up to fight and fight and fight till he became the sitting MLA for the BC Liberals and walked over to the BC Conservatives and sent the spark through Abbotsford that residents started working against their politicians and establishment Henry controlled. Our local police department was not enforcing law. It was catering to one type of people, the rich, and the poor and the middle class were being hammered on. We have to change that outcome. I'm going to change that by running for mayor. What took place on Cooper's Farm, human beings got deadly and deadly and deadly sick on the Mackenzie Bog, and no politician was there for them. No city bylaws, no inspectors or nothing, because it was a friendship based here in the city. People took uniform and took positions to clean and counteract what Henry Brown was doing. We saw the Chamber of Commerce, Craig chose, destroy a democracy in Abbotsford. When he blocked me and was controlling the narrative to load Ross Siemens, it was game over. The Chamber of Commerce must be cleaned. It was no longer a business for the Downtown Business Association. It was led that the Chamber of Commerce had the best view for Abbotsford residents for the business. It wasn't. We saw it didn't represent the Abbotsford business community at all. It was a self-centered bunch of individual old people, if you can look in the pictures, running it. What Alex Mitchell did, endorsing, was wrong. But we saw a newspaper that would usually stand up when human beings are being hurt and destroyed for that. We saw Vicky Hopes and Ken turn the other way and write articles to try to shame people and then humiliate them people so she could cover what was taking place in the city rather than call it out. We have to change that. We know that newspaper last night was at Mike de Jong's rally when he was hoping to be announced as the winner, and he wasn't. But Abbotsford voters and Abbotsford residents have to be proud of the outcome of what you've done. You knew Mike de Jong wasn't helping you and Mike de Jong was covering. You knew the issues of our houses and what took place with lawsuits. I made that clear. I'm very proud of Abbotsford Abbotsford residents, and I think George Ferguson would be very proud because these politicians weren't standing up. I saw Ed Fast slander his own party and humiliate the party, and then now he cleaned his Facebook. This man could never be trusted. The 5 leaders that stood in the picture to target that new candidate that was running for the Conservative was unbelievable. They claimed they were leaders. They were no leaders. So let me tell you about. Dave Sidhu's life, I saw him wrecked, using his own newspaper to help Henry Brown. I saw Craig Toe's life's wrecked. I saw Simon Gibson endorsing when he's not allowed to endorse. I saw the rally behind Mike DeYoung at all costs. I saw the Abbotsford task force threatening Councillor Mogill, such a racist act, and it had to be killed out because he was running for mayor and that would object to Henry's plans and Rob Funk's plans. These are Abbotsford taxpayers. This is your city. I saw Open Mike took away. I saw Henry cause the flood by dismantling the Dike and Ditch Committee. What was it based on? It was based on greed. A man became so powerful in Abbotsford, his two friends that were elected in government did not start checking him and controlling him. I'm going to run for mayor of Abbotsford. I'm going to give you that city back. I'm going to forensic audit everything that Ross has been in, fast tracking with the city councillors that are his friends called Abbotsford First. You watch them, they're going to pack up and leave. This is not over. Then I'm going to bring the best into Abbotsford, the RCMP, and its investigation team of how this happened on residents. And I guarantee you, as I stand here and tell you that, it was greed. We're going to go after Ron Funk. We're going to go after the Mackenzie Bog that got people deadly, deadly sick. And then we're going to find out who is responsible as a city official and have them charged. We're going to bring them people from Mackenzie Bog forward. We're going to find out why 3,000 people got blocked at the city on Polygon's farm for Henry to rush them jobs. And then we're going to go after them. And we have to by law because these were threats on Abbotsford residents. What took place to this young candidate that put his name forward, the slanderous acts, all the manipulation and stuff that was taking place for greed for Mike DeYoung to have a position. Mike DeYoung was claiming he was going to go down and deal with Donald Trump. You're not dealing with no Donald Trump. It looks like Carney's going to be dealing with Donald Trump and not Mike DeYoung. Mike DeYoung could not allow this. It was based on greed. He wouldn't even say congratulations. It was so bad that Vicky Hope set up at Guyon's with Mike DeYoung showing that she was with the establishment and not removing herself as a newspaper reporter, so when the true winner came out, you could interview him. This would show you the establishment. And these men, I want to make clear, will be in my campaign as I run for mayor, that they were never leaders. They were never leaders. They watched the farmers be flooded out. They watched Henry go out and threaten the farmers to drop lawsuits. They never stood on the dikes. They never pressured Justin Trudeau, and they never pressured David Eby. Now they stood up to help Mike DeYoung to pressure that young candidate. This was based on greed. Pure, absolutely greed. But a man got in his car. He went so far to run somebody over and used his money and his connections to cover it up with law enforcement. That has to be addressed. The embezzlement of Abbotsford Police getting a building, then its cost overruns signed by Ross and his council have to come back to the Abbotsford taxpayers. When you ask to run that city, you must be responsible, cut taxes, and you know what you must be doing. Ross Siemens hasn't done nothing. It's all been covered up. We need to move Henry Brown right out of here. But Henry Brown has to go before the Supreme Court. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud with the outcome of what Abbotsford residents did. You wanted a change of the establishment, but make no mistake, these men are cockroaches. They're laying in the back. They'll be there to try to get themselves back up because Henry knew the trillions of dollars on the Dike and the Ditch Committee and the infrastructure, and I saw him lobbying jobs to Ron Funk a diverse. As your mayor, front and center will be beside me as I bring one of the largest campaign people in to help me, will be the RCMP and its investigations team to make sure all your tax dollars and your go back into the city coffers. We know who to watch out for. The Chamber of Commerce can never hold a debate again, neither can the Abbotsford newspaper, and neither can the Fraser Valley Indo Association. It has to go under massive reconstruction. To who runs it, who's going to be accountable, and who's going to allow the democracy and a fair, level playing ground. Greg Toes didn't do that. Alex Mitchell didn't do that. Vicky Hopes didn't do that. This showed the picture of them people, and you must go forward and call their names out every day. We got a mayor, a coward mayor that sits up there when acts took place on the residents because it was Henry's best vision. Ross Siemens was the one that caused all this anguish with Henry's son. But these men were no heroes. The man that should be next as a hero is the Conservative candidate. He stood all the target and the slander and everything that was thrown at him, constantly, every single day by the establishment, and stayed tough till the end and prevailed. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia.